PCS training, Group 2. This group is hosted by COSS managers of RFC Baltic-Adriatic, RFC Orient Eastmed, RFC North Sea-Baltic, RFC Rhine-Danube, RFC Alpine-Western Balkan, and RFC Amber. And of course, I also would like to thank for the colleagues of RNE for their participation. Just very quickly, a few rules regarding Microsoft Teams meeting, but I don't think we have to go through this because we are really not that many participants today. So I think we can start. The agenda for this meeting will be very simple. We have two agenda points. First agenda point is the presentations from the COSS managers. This presentation will contain some useful information about the capacity offer for timetable 2023, and also some other important things like major TCRs in the region and stuff like that. The second agenda point will be the question and answer session. So we are preparing for some PCS related questions. If you are not familiar with the system, or if during the past years you had some issues and you would like to discuss these issues with us, how to prevent in the future, we will be very happy to give you some tips and tricks. But of course, we are also prepared for a shy audience, meaning that if no questions from your side, then I'm going to do some live demonstrations in the test system. I prepared some use cases, and I think this will be very useful. I'm also putting some links in the chat. There you go. So the link to the PCS test system. I will do the demonstrations in PCS test 1. In PCS test 1, you do not have to log in with your production account, but you can use these company accounts. For example, the account for ÖBB infrastructure, or the account for DB Cargo, and for all. So the complete list of test accounts can be found on via the second link, and and the password for each of these test accounts is also can be found in the chat. This is the PC5T big E5T. And last but not least, I also put there a link to the PCS documentation. This is a link to RNE CMS system, and you can find a lot of guidelines, tutorials, and even some video instructions there. So from my point of view, this is also very useful. So that's all for the introduction. And now, if no questions, we can begin with the presentations of the COSS managers. And now we shall start with the presentation of RFC Baltic-Adriatic. And Sandra, one last time, I would like to ask you to please take the screen, because I did not replace that one slide.
Okay, I going to take the screen, no problem.
Thanks. The floor is yours.
Okay, I will put it in the output mode, so it's better to see it. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, let's start. Thank you very much, Joseph, and good morning to everybody. I'm Sandra Ferrari. I'm the new COSS manager for Corridor Baltic-Adriatic as from the 1st of February. So I'm still in a learning phase, but please do not hesitate to contact me for any requests or clarifications you may have on this offer. Here we have some general information about the corridor, about the Baltic-Adriatic corridor, which is a corridor which crosses over 5 countries, from the Polish Baltic ports to northern Italy. Here on the top of the right, you can have the website of the Corridor 5. Let me just tell you that all the information that I'm releasing today are available on the CID, on the Corridor Information Document, that is available also on the website, but also on the RNE CIP platform. And the PaPs catalog is also available on our website and on the platform CIP of RNE. Deadline for PAT request is 11 of April 2022. For timetable 2023, we are going to offer 55 PaPs, mainly offered 7 days a week with some exceptions for infrastructure managers in Austria and Italy for OBB and RFI. We noticed that almost 83% of customers' wishes have been fulfilled. We have tried to go towards the needs of our customers and trying to match the wishes related to the main traffic involved. Here we have 2 main points, last but not least, of our catalog, the premium offer concerning extra long train PaPs and extra heavy train PaPs, on which I will come back later on. Here, very briefly, we have just some key performance indicators of the corridor. Here we have the number of train runs crossing the Baltic-Adriatic corridor borders. Here you can see there are the highest rate of trains passing the border between Poland and Czech Republic, followed by the green light concerning the border between Austria and Italy. Here's some data and figures about the volume of offered capacity for the corridor. For 2023, we are set up at a figure of 6.2 million kilometers per day. There has been a slight increasing compared to 2022, where we're set up at 5.5. In terms of request rate as well, there has been a slight increasing from 2021 to 2022, from 22% to 34%. Slight increasing, but of course also encouraging figures. Here we go in deep into the catalog. This is the main offer from Baltic ports to terminal in Czech Republic, Slovakia, but also in Poland. Here on the left, you can have some PAP IDs of this offer. Here the logic was mainly to connect the main ports to terminals, using also feeder outflow to reach terminals, so to use PAP and connecting terminals through feeder outflow. You can see in Poland, Korsze, Malasiewicz and Tychy, and in Czech Republic for Mlada, Boleslav and Česká Třebová. Here another kind of traffic, in particular for automotive, fuels and containers from Italy to Central Europe and vice versa. Here the logic was the same, to connect the main destination in Italy, Piacenza, Cervignano and Bologna, to the main terminals as Torino and Fossa Cesia. Here the logic was really to connect it with the feeder outflow. And here, of course, if some more running days are needed, it is necessary just to add them to the request. And of course, it can be solved and analyzed by the Corridor One-Stop Shop. Here, from Copper to Central Europe, you can have as well some PAP IDs concerning the offer. Here there is one main point, as I mentioned before, of our catalog. We are offering for this kind of lines extra long train PAPs. Here you can have the PAP IDs 15 and 16. The main principle here is to offer a maximum train length of 595 meters versus the usual standard path of 525 meters. Here we have some information about the offer that is provided in cooperation with other rail freight corridors, namely 7, 9, and 11. Just a small warning concerning the first PAP NP1, because there will be some total track closure during night expected in Ostrava, and so PAP might not be available on some days. And so we are expecting more information that will, of course, release you in short time. Here, a news about something that has already started in last year for the timetable 2022. This is an ICM pilot for international contingency management that has been carried out by Baltic-Adriatic Corridor in cooperation with 3 infrastructure managers from Poland, Czech Republic, and Slovakia. There is 1 year validity, so it's something in force, of course, and the possibility to be extension that will be subject to a decision of the Baltic-Adriatic Corridor during this year. Here, the main principle is to give priority to train running some PaPs allocated by Baltic-Adriatic Corridor, give them a priority in case of disturbances or interruptions on international traffic and transport. General terms and conditions are published within the corridor information document for 2022 in Annex G. So if you need more information, of course, you can contact me, but also you can find them in Annex G of corridor information document 2022. Here, another point of our catalog with extra long. These are extra heavy train PaPs provided for the timetable 2023. These are provided between Trieste and Villach, Pordenone and Villach. These are the PaPs ID 43 and 45. And here we are going to offer a maximum weight of wagons of 1,800 tons, while the standard path is usually of 1,600 tons. Here, let me just spend 2 words on this kind of premium offer for extra long and extra heavy, because basically what we see here is the possibility for customers to order exceptional transport in 1 yearly request for a PaP. In general, all the requests that exceed the standards allowed are considered as exceptional transport, of course, but usually this is not allowed within a PaP, usually not. I mean, it depends from infrastructure managers. And in general, they have to be asked to infrastructure managers several times because 1 request corresponds to 1 operation. Here we have just 1 request, 1 yearly request. And so this is something that should be considered in terms of economic advantage and reduction of cost for the customer and for the railway undertakings involved. Here just some very brief tips and advice on PaPs catalog. This is, of course, the catalog of Baltic-Adriatic Corridor, but it's valid for all corridors, of course. You can download the Excel catalog, identify and choose a PaP, and you can copy insert directly the PaP ID and PCS, so you can easily find the PaP to book. Just very brief tips. Here, last but not least, for Baltic-Adriatic Corridor, it will be possible to book also short-term capacity offer. The main principle here is that it is possible to request capacity between 8 and 5 days prior to the operation of the train. There are, of course, some conditions that are listed here. These are that the request for capacity should be in the running timetable. Requests regard international paths crossing at least 1 border of Baltic-Adriatic Corridor, and both origin and destination must be within the infrastructure managers of Baltic-Adriatic corridors. Request must be a new PCS dossier. There are no limitations in terms of operation days that are allowed in 1 request. All the information also concerning short-term capacity offer, are available on our website and also on CID. That's all for the time being. Thank you for your attention, and I remain at your disposal if you have any questions or clarification. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I wait a few minutes, so if someone would like to ask a question, now it is the opportunity. Otherwise, I will continue this agenda point with the presentation of RFC North Sea-Baltic. I took over the screen. Please let me know if you can see.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, perfect. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, the COSS manager of RFC North Sea-Baltic, she is not available today due to a medical appointment. So I will do her presentation. I hope I can meet the expectations today. So PaP capacity offer for 2023. Here you can see some important informations about the RFC product. So what is the lifetime of the PaP? What I would like to highlight here is the first point, where it is mentioned the survey. I think customers are already familiar with that, but I really want to highlight this every year, that this capacity wishes survey is very important for us. So we are really counting on your input regarding the PaPs to be offered by the corridors. Okay, so in this slide we can see what are the improvements implemented in the PaP capacity offer for timetable 2023, going one by one. So the first important information is the extension of the RFC. So the PaP offer was extended for routes in Belgium and Poland. And here in this schematic map, you can see the extensions. So on one hand side, you can see the western part of the ports of Ghent and Zeebrugge. And on the right hand side, you can see the extension to the eastern part to Medica. The second improvement which needs to be mentioned is the increasing number of long distance PaPs. So these long distance PaPs are designed for the international traffic running on long stretches, and hereby you can request these routes in just a very single step and single operation in PCS. And also in this map you can see these long distance origin destination, and you can also see the that these PaPs are connected to other RFCs as well, such as RFC 3 ScanMed and RFC Orient EastMed. Of course, these long distance PaPs have been constructed as close as possible to the wishes expressed by the applicants. So the third thing I would like to mention is the diversionary routes and optional diversionary routes. And for this explanation, I will guide you to this map overview. So for those who are not familiar with the Czech network, I would like to tell that this year there's a big ongoing infrastructure project on the line Česká Třebová-Brno with a total closure. And this total closure on the section is expected to be finished by the end of this year. So there will be a little more capacity afterwards for 2023, but we still need to take into consideration another major ongoing project on the line Pardubice-Česká Třebová. So what my colleagues in the Czech timetabling department offered is to publish some PaPs on the original route. So going from Kolín via Česká Třebová to Brno, but also offering the possibility for a diversionary route from Česká Třebová via Olomouc and Čerov to Česlav. And also some PaPs are offered with another diversionary route via Havlíčkův Brod to Brno. Of course, these diversionary PaPs are only offered in the first half of the year, so until the end of June, because this big TCR project is expected to be finished by then. So starting in July, the line will have full capacity, so from Kolín via Česká Třebová to Brno. But until that, you will have a variety of offers. So you can choose to go on the original route, but then you may expect some changes in the timetable or some delays in the traffic. You will be able to choose to run on a diversionary route via Havlíčkův Brod, because an alternative PaP is offered, and there is a second alternative route via Čerov. Okay, another big thing I would like to mention is that this was an input received by Czech and German railway undertakings, which mostly operate container trains between German ports and Prague, Česká Třebová, and sometimes Dunajská Streda. So this was a very valuable input for us. Basically, they wished to have the possibility to operate with longer trains. For container trains, of course, this is very important. And up till now, the longest PaP offered on these routes, I believe it was 640 meters. And now, from timetable 2023, for these routes, we are also offering PaPs with an increased possible train length up to 680 meters. Of course, this is still not the desired wish up to 300 or even more train length, but I think this is already a progress. Yeah, it is mentioned some short distance PaPs as well, which can be combined with feeder outflows. And the digital PaP catalog, I think you are already familiar with that. This PaP catalog can be found on the website of RFCs or in the CIP, the Customer Information Platform. This is an Excel tool, a clickable Excel tool, and you can navigate yourself to see many details of our PaP offer, such as the routes, timetables, train parameters, and other useful stuff. And you can also see there the PaP ID, which is important if you already know what you would like to order in PCS, because the fastest possible way to search for a PaP in PCS is to copy paste the identification number, this PaP ID number, to the search field. And I think that was all I wanted to share from RFC 8 perspective. I hope it was okay and understandable, but of course, if you have any questions, please feel free, and I will try to answer. So now I'm waiting a few seconds. And if no questions, then I will give the floor to myself, and I will present the latest news regarding RFC Orient EastMed offer. Okay, so this slide is only just some basic information. I will not go through it because this is like very basic about the corridor information document. The second slide is also about the COSS activities and the benefits of ordering via the COSS. Now here comes the interesting point. During my speech, if you would like to read the slide, on the left-hand side, you can see some basic information about prearranged passes. So what are the PaPs? And on the right-hand side, you can see this fancy corridor map with the most important junctions or border points. And it is also indicated the offer, the PaP offer per day on these points. Of course, every detailed information can be found in the PaP catalog, which is a similar digital format. Yeah, it can be downloaded from the RFC 7 website. In general, what I wanted to say about RFC 7 offer that when we are designing our PaPs, basically we take into consideration three main aspects. The first one is the outcome of the customer wishes survey, which I mentioned before. So we are very counting on your support on that to please communicate your wishes to us. The second one is the so-called status quo, meaning that if a train pass was ordered on RFC 7 before, a PaP was ordered on RFC 7 before, we will construct the same or similar pass for next year because we believe that the customer was happy and satisfied with our services, and they will request the PaP next year again. And the third one, which I also value a lot, is the personal consultation. So I'm available for personal consultation anytime. If you have any question about procedure, about capacity availability, even about PCS, because I can consider myself as an advanced PCS user. So if you have any problem with the system, you can also contact me, and I will try to give my best to solve your problems. Okay, some information about process steps for PaP request with non-available days. So we all know that that there are capacity restrictions. So how the PaPs in RFC OEM are published and how we take into account these capacity restrictions. First of all, there's a detailed information on planned infrastructure works and total closures on the corridor website. You can see the link in this slide. So this is basically a macro-based Excel sheet which contains a big list of infrastructure works, and with the macros you can also generate yourself some Gantt charts, and you can also use a map which is clickable, and with some functions the lines are colored, whether the TCR will be a total closure or you can go there but with limited capacity. So it's kind of a useful tool until the RNE TCR tool arrives. I highly recommend to the customers to study this Excel tool provided by the corridors. On the one hand side, we have the TCRs, and on the other hand, we have the PaPs. And PaPs on RFC OEM are always published with full calendar, so all days are available. There are only two exceptions, PaPs on DBNet and on ÖBB network. These are only published with available days. So the TCRs and other factors are already taken into consideration. But for the other PaPs, the process steps are as follows. You request the PaPs selecting any calendar dates you wish, And during the pre-booking phase, I will reserve these requested calendar days. Of course, if there is no conflict. The timetable offer after the pass construction can be divided into sub-passes. So it can happen that some days will marked as non-available as a PAP. So the IMs will prepare a tailor-made sub-pass, which can contain a diversionary route, or it can run on the same route, but with a different timetable. And on some rare occasions, when there is absolutely no alternative route possibility, it can also happen that the IM will cut out those non-available days, and there will be no alternative offer. And as it was mentioned before on the Czech network, this year alternative PaPs are published during this modernization period online, Česká Třebová and Brno. So this way we can ensure smooth train runnings on PaPs during the whole timetable year. And on my last slides, I will just quickly present you the main TCRs which can be expected for timetable 2023. Of course, this is not a full list, so I'm only just selecting those which are, from my point of view, the most important. This was already mentioned on the previous presentation, so I will skip that. And now you can see some important TCRs on the Hungarian network on the Gyeshev line. There will be 3 total closures, but for each of them, there will be an adequate alternative route possibility. So, for example, on the first picture, you can see the Csorna-Győr total closure and the alternative route via Hegyeshalom. On the second picture, you can see a Sopron-Csorna total closure with an alternative route via Szombathely and Porpát. And the third one will involve a border crossing as well, because the total closure will be between Hegyeshalom and Rajka. So it will not be possible to go via Rusovce, but during this TCR period, you can either use ÖBB line between Pandornfeld, Petrazsalka, or you can select an alternative border crossing, either Komárom or Szog. Jumping to CFR, we can see that the situation is basically the same as the past few years. So we have a huge reconstruction and modernization project on CFR lines, and because of that, the capacity, the daily available capacity is extremely limited. This is one reason why I always give the advice to my customers to try to order these trains as PaP trains, because they might have a little better train running if they running on PaPs. So first things first, we have the ongoing reconstruction and modernization between Arad and Cimeria. It's ongoing since 2018, and for the time being, the expected end is March 2023. We also have reconstruction and modernization ongoing since 2020 on the line Segesvár-Brassó, and the expected end is 2025. And the third one, which is a new one, the planned reconstruction and modernization of line Episkopia-Bihor-Cluj. Here, the expected start is the second half of this year, and the expected end is somewhere at 2025. And during this project, the same conditions will apply. So continuous single line operation with speed limitation during the works. I would like to highlight that this modernization will also go with the full electrification of the line. So last but not least, I would like to show some slides about the situation in Bulgaria on NRIC network. So here you can see some expected total closures for 2023, but as you can see, the alternative routes are also marked, and I also put there that for these alternative routes, the high cube containers will be also accepted. Here I would like to show two examples for a total closure with no adequate alternative possibility. So, for example, between Radomir and Kulata, when it is closed, this line, you can either go via Serbia and North Macedonia, or you can select another border crossing from Svilengrad to Dikea. And some daily maintenance windows are also published by NRIC. But the good news here is that the PaPs have already planned, taken into consideration these daily maintenance windows. So if your train is on time, of course, it will bypass these maintenance windows. So that was all from my side. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me anytime. I'm happy to be at your disposal. And if no questions, comments, I will finish my presentation and I will give the floor to the COSS of RFC Rhine-Danube. Bernd, please, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Joseph. My name is Bernd Wetzel, and I'm the successor of Svenja Roskopf, who has left the COSS team at the end of, it was in December last year. And I was a former pass designer, a Trassenkonstrukteur in German, at DB Netz. So the name from our customer, Mr. Simon from Box Express, is quite familiar to me. I think we had some email contacts and also phone contacts. So the best wishes to Hamburg, to my favorite city.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Well, I'm the new one, as I mentioned, and I look forward to work with you, of course. So I will give you a short overview about the capacity wish list and the PaP offer. Yeah, the next one is the right one. Thank you. So what we have here, we can see that 77 wishes were received in total compared to timetable 22. We had 66, so it means a plus of 11. And what you can say in general, that most of the wishes were fulfilled. Maybe I would like to point out one exception. If you like to go to Romania, one of the PaP offer had to be rerouted via Episcopia, which is a diversionary line. This is due to the fact that we have reconstruction of the principal line, Bekeshaber-Lukoshaza, crossing the Romanian border. And this rerouted line, well, it's a diversionary line. It's not so attractive because of the fact it's a diesel line with a single track. And as Joseph already mentioned, DCRs are also going to affect this line. Well, could we have the next one, please? Yes. You can see more detailed information about the capacity wish list in timetable 23. And from the 77 wishes, you can see most of them are in conjunction with the Danube Black Sea axis and the Czech-Slovakia axis. So please, the next one, please. We are now going to the PaP offer in timetable 2023. And here you can see two figures. It's on the left-hand side. It's the available kilometers, offered PaP kilometers on the left-hand side from timetable 22, and on the right-hand side, timetable 23. You see the figure is lower, which does not. Well, this is the 80 million kilometers, and you can see it does not necessarily mean that we offer fewer PaPs. This is just due to the fact that the number of TCRs have increased, of course, and maybe you can have a look at the ÖBB network. ÖBB only offered calendar days the customer has requested. So they're not going to extend those requests to a full 7 offers per week as the other ones do, of course. So the next one, please, Joseph. We have just a slide, maybe more detailed information as well. You can see the RFC 7 and 9 combination. It's the dark blue, and RFC 9 itself is the lighter blue, which gives you just a bit overview about the east-west and west-east wishes. Overview, PAP offers, overview. Okay, so let's have the next one. And I'll just give you, once again, this schematic map. And I hope you can see that what I mentioned is the Episcopia line, which on the right-hand side, crossing to Croatia. This was a rerouting line. Well, just give me I would like to give you just a few figures, what we offer. For example, Aschaffenburg-Nürnberg, we have 6 available PaPs in both directions. At Passau, we offer 8 PaPs in both directions, and going to the Eggy-Chalon border, 6. Ferencváros, Romanian border, we have 12 available PaPs, and the so-called diversionary line, Biecta-Resteș and Episcopia Bihor to Romania, we have 4 available PaPs in the timetable 2023. So next one will give you an information about the PaP catalog. As you might know, or I've already seen it, of course, which is quite a handy tool on the upper right corner, for instance. Here, and if you click on the map, it doesn't work here, of course, this is just a PowerPoint presentation. But if you have opened the PaP catalog, you click on the map, and you can see the PaP numbers. This is one below. You just can easily copy and paste the PaP ID number, insert in the PCS system, and make your bookings quite easily. And this only offers you more information about parameter metrics, distances, and comment labels. And you can find it's a really good handy tool. Okay, so that's it for the moment. If you have any questions, you can contact Joseph or me, and then we will try to solve your requests or your problems, of course. Well, more information documentation can be found on the RNE website with the customer information platform, which also offers you an interactive map. And maybe I've seen this again with a route planning option. That's it for the moment. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, well, as I said, don't hesitate to contact me or us.
Thank you, Bernd, for the presentation.
Thank you.
If no questions from the audience, I would like to give the floor to COSS of RFC Alpine-Western Balkan. Milan, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. Hello, everyone. I am Milan Šegan from Serbia Railways Infrastructure and on Corridor Alpine-Western Balkan. I have been on the position COSS manager since 2019. This slide shows the basic information on the Alpine-Western Balkan corridor. Countries participating, the principal route with lengths through the countries to which the corridor belongs. Next slide, please. This slide shows the table with PaP offers. 10 routes are offered for the timetable for 2023. 4 on the route Salzburg-Ljubljana-Most-Salzburg, 2 on the route Salzburg-Link-Zagreb-Salzburg-Link, 2 on the route Vels-Dobova-Vels, 2022 and the route Ljubljana-Zagreb, Zalog, Svilengrad, Ljubljana, Zalog. Next slide, please. This slide shows the PAP catalog for timetable 2022 and 2023. In the catalog, you can see countries, stations, technical parameters, running days, running times with arrivals and departures. Next slide, please. This slide displays key performance indicators. As you can see on this slide, the PAP capacity offered, PAP capacity request, and PAP capacity rebooked is increasing from year to year, from 2021 to 2023. The offer of reserve capacities is smaller because there were no more available capacities for timetable 2022. Next slide, please. Investment plan for timetable 2022 and 2023. The next few slides show details about investment plan on corridor Alpine-Western Balkan by countries. Investment plan relates to capacity improvement, elimination of bottlenecks, interoperability, electrification, and construction of new tracks on President section. This is Slovenia. Next slide, please. This is Croatia section Dugo Selo-Novska. Next slide, please. Serbia section Belgrade Center Stara Pazova, section Rakovica Jajinci Mala Krsna Velika Plana, section Niš Dimitrovgrad, bypass railway Niš and electrification Niš Dimitrovgrad railway line. Next slide, investment plan for Bulgaria. Investment plan for Bulgaria have a few sections. Just a moment. Sofia Elin-Pelin, Elin-Pelin Constance, Constance Septembri, Sofia Volujak, Volujak Dragoman, and Dragoman Serbia border. This slide organization structure of Alpine-Western Balkan RFC Executive Board, General Assembly, Project Manager Office, Coordination Group, Marketing and Communication Working Group, Infrastructure and Interoperability Working Group, Capacity Working Group, and Train Performance and Operation Working Group. And Office Alpine-Western Balkan is in Ljubljana, Slovenia. Location Ljubljana Zalog Station. Office executive manager Miloš Rovšnik, infrastructure manager Biserka Keller, and I COSS manager. You can see more detailed information on Corridor website. Thank you for your attention. To your questions.
Thank you very much, Milan, for the presentation. And now, last but not least, I would like to give the floor to RFC Amber COSS. Roman, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Roman Stanczak. I'm a COSS manager of Amber Corridor, and I'd like to present you offer of Amber Corridor for timetabling 2023. The next one, please. We offered 34 PaPs for timetabling 2023, about 4.5 million PaP kilometers and days, and our offer is flexible. The next one, please. Here you can see PaPs with odd numbers, so in north-south direction. The complex numbers indicates the multi-corridor offer, which Corridor Amber prepare with other neighboring corridors, particularly with Corridor 6, 5, 7, and 11. The next one, please. And okay, we have the details of our offer you can find on our PaP catalog, DIC PaP catalog. You can find it on our website, and it works as was described by my CSS colleagues from Corridor 5, 7, and 9. When you click, for instance, on the map, then you can find a table with PaPs, with PaPs ID. You can also click of parameters, and you can find all the parameters, routes, and so on. The next one, please. And in our offer, we continue connection between Małaszewicze to Ostrawa in connection point in Czechowice-Dziedzice. The PaPs from Małaszewicze are harmonized with PaPs on Corridor 5, so it's possible to reach Ostrawa and then by feeder outflow to Mlada Bolesław. The next one, please. We have a common offer with Corridor 6, with Corridor Mediterranean. It's offer from Koper to Chodosz, and from Chodosz you can reach terminals in Dunajska Szeda and Żylina in Slovakia. The next one, please. We, due to restriction between Szarok and Calabria, we must shorten our offer for timetabling 2023. So our PaPs finished in Budapest and Szarok. This work will last for several next years. So this limitation in offer will be in the next timetables as well. So there was not possibility to run from Budapest to Kolebia via Kirchenhaus. So you must take diversionary routes on neighbors corridors. The next one, please. And we also have there will be as well restriction on Hungary network, but these restrictions were described by Joseph because all these TCRs are on our common section with corridor Amber and corridor Orient East-Med. So that's all from my side. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I will try to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much, Roman. If no questions, then I can announce that this was the first agenda point. So we successfully finished our first agenda point, and now we can start with the interesting one. So first of all, I'm counting on questions from the audience regarding the PCS. Anything, basically. So not only RFC related questions. If you would like to share anything with us now, you have the chance, and yeah, we can discuss it right now. But of course, I can also understand that at the moment there is nothing on your mind. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, we are prepared for a shy audience, so maybe we can show you some live demonstration right now in the test system. And for that, I will share the screen once again. Let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes.
Okay, and now I will start with the use case, which first can be very simple, and afterwards we can make some interesting possibilities. So as I mentioned, I'm using the test system right now. And for this exercise, I will log in with JD Cargo. And I will search for PaPs on the route Germany, Czech Republic, and Slovakia. And as I mentioned before, for the PaP search, we have some possibilities. Let me start again from the beginning. So basically, there is two ways to insert a PaP into the dossier. You can do it right. You can start it right with searching for a PaP using the PaP search function in PCS. Or the second possibility that you already have a designed outline, designed tailor-made route, and you decide to put PaPs afterwards. Now we will start with the first one. So we can search for PaPs directly. As I mentioned, the best way to do it, if you already studied the PaP catalog and you already know which PaP you would like to order, because in this case you can just simply type or copy paste the PaP ID into the search field. So in this case, I will search for a PaP which is commonly offered by RFC 7 and 8 due to the overlapping sections from one German port to Slovakia or even to Hungary. So I will type in a PAP ID. You can see the identification system, the logic. So we always start with a C, which means corridor, and then we inserting the corridor numbers. So in this case, it is a common offer involving 7 and 8. And then we use NP, which stands for new pass request. So we are searching for a PAP published for the annual pass request trace. And then we have this unique identification number for the route. In this case, we are searching for 105. And if you click the search button, you will see this is our PAP. Of course, it's not always the correct geographical order, but we can see that this PAP starts in Bremenhaven, Speck and Büttel. It goes right via Bad Schandau and Decin, via Kolín, Czeslav, Nové Zámky, Sturovo, until Budapest, Soroksári útrendező. And you can also see that some of the PAPs are not published with full calendar here. This is something I mentioned during Felicia's presentation and my presentation as well, that this is due to the big infrastructure projects ongoing on the Czech network. But you can also see that, for example, there are two possibilities to go from Kolín to Brno. So if you check this route, this is the original route via Česká Třebová, and there's another one via Havlíčkův Brod. So this is exactly what I mentioned during my presentation, that there is a PAP published for this TCR period to enable using an alternative route. And the identification number is the same, except that in the end there is a little a, which indicates that this is an alternative route. So now I would like to be very simple, so I will not request the whole route, the whole PAP involving 4 IAMs and railway undertakings, because now we are just doing an exercise how to deal with the non-available days, what are the possibilities in the system. So I will only insert the Czech routes to be very simple. So let's say we are going from Decin to Kolín. So this will be only the Czech route. From Kolín to Česká Třebová and from Česká Třebová to Brno. That's all. So we selected these 3 PAPs and we will add these selected to new dossier. I don't know if you saw, but the order of selecting the PAPs is important, because this will be the order of the sections, which you can see in the next phase. So now we in the reorder PAP part, and this order is based on the selection. So I selected first Decin Kolín, and this is the first section. But it can happen that you accidentally selected, for example, the Kolín Česká Třebová section first. In this case, this will be the order presented by the system, which is of course not correct. And now you have the possibility to just simply drag and drop and reorder these PAP sections. So now it should be correct. After that, you can continue, and now you are directed to one of the most important views, which is the timetable view. So here you can check the route and the timetable of the PaP. This is a flex PaP, by the way. You can see it by the light blue outline, which means that you can modify the times if you wish. For example, you would like to stay a little bit longer in Kolin because you are having some activities or anything like that. You can also insert your international train number here in these fields. Now let's continue. Here's the dossier level data, which is very IM related. So this is national information. And those RUs who are running trains in these countries, they know what are the answers for these questions. But since we are only just creating the dossier, so we are not submitting past requests, it is not a problem if we do not know the answers right now for these questions. Because we can continue, we can create the dossier, and we can finalize it later. So now I just simply click continue. And this is what I will do in the train parameter section as well, because we can do it later. It's not a precondition now to create the dossier. And now we are in the calendar section. So here we can select the running days for our train. If you would like to select all running days, you just simply click to the year and it will select everything. If you would like to only specify like months, you can click for the months and it will select those days. And of course, you can also select a weekly pattern. So let's see, we would like to run this train on days 1. And you can also do some really customized thing, just randomly selecting the days, of course. So let's say this train will run on days 2. Since this is a PaP request, we shall check the availability of the PaP, because it can happen that some of the days will not be available. And for this exercise, this is exactly what we are expecting. So you can see this warning message on the left-hand side that on the sections Kolin, Česká Trebova, Brno, some of the selected days are not available. Of course, we do not have to panic. You see these days are even highlighted in yellow there. So we do not have to panic because this does not mean that we cannot request on these days. If we wish to continue, the system will automatically generate a tailor-made subpass for these non-available days. So for that period, we will have a simple tailor-made request, and the IMs will decide whether they can construct a timetable for that period, like a different timetable, or they cannot. Or they can do it, but only via diversionary route. So this is how it looks like. We have the PaP from Decin to Kolin, because this is available during the whole year. And for the remaining part, an automatic tailor-made subpass was created by the system. And this is the second subpass. And here you can see that this contains those running days which can be covered with PaP from origin to destination. So we can click continue, and this is the last step before creating the dossier. We can enter any dossier name we would like here. Any train number, of course. And that's all. The dossier is now created. And this is good news because now you will not lost anything. So you have this first version of the dossier, and now you can pay attention to the details, like entering the parameters, altering the timetable, selecting your partner railway undertakings, and all the stuff like that. Because now we are in the second step, but the first step, the most important thing was to achieve this result, to have a created dossier. This is why I always recommend, for example, to my customers that they can rush, because first the most important thing is to have a dossier. Okay, so now in this exercise, I would like to show you that how we can use those PaPs in this dossier which were prepared for the alternative route. And for that, what we need to do is to go to the subpath which has the tailor-made section, and we will click on Add PaP, and we are redirected to the PaP search screen again, and we will search for this alternative route. We already know that this ends with an A. So we search for the alternative route, and we have this result from Kolin to Havlíčkův-Brod and from Havlíčkův-Brod to Brno. So we will select these PaPs and click Add to Dossier. Now we are again this reordering phase. Of course, the order is not correct because now we have duplications. So the system still has the original tailor-made part, which is followed by the PaP. It's not a problem now. We can just simply click Continue. And now, when we are in the applicant timetable part, we can now remove these sections, these tailor-made sections, because these sections are not necessary anymore. So we just simply select and delete these parts. And what we have now is the route from Kolin to Brno on the alternative. So click Continue. Now we are in the parameter step. We can play here a little bit. So what is mandatory? It is always shown by the system with this little yellow star. So here you must enter something, otherwise you will be not able to submit your PaS request. By the way, these mandatory parameters can be different IM by IM, because the IM has a possibility to say that for me, traffic type is mandatory. For me, container profile is mandatory. And in this case, you will see this little yellow star in these fields as well. But for the Czech IM, these fields are not mandatory. This is mandatory, so we have to enter here something. Let's say commercial stop. This is the joker. And of course, the basic train parameters like weight carriage is set, length carriage is set. You can see that in the PaP we already have a reference locomotive. And you can also see that it is already given what is the weight of this locomotive and the length of this locomotive. And this is important because if you put here the weight and the length, and just simply click this button, Reset Precalculation, the system will automatically add the locomotive weight and length to the final value, so to the final train weight and train length value. And of course, you can repeat it as many times as you want. Now it says it's recommended up to 650. This is also interesting thing that now some parameters can be exceeded when you see this message, it's recommended up to 650. It means that you will be able to submit your request with a higher value, but you might receive an answer from the IM that no, I do not allow. But at least the system will not block you from requesting the train, because it is only just a recommendation. There's a second type, which is a restriction. If this would be a restricted parameter, then you would see a highlight in red, which means that you are not allowed to give higher than 650. Okay, we can correct it. In maximum speed, this is also mandatory, and the brake type, which shall be P, and we give the braking ratio, and we click save. And of course, we do not have to repeat it for the whole pass section, because that would be time consuming and not really customer friendly. But luckily we have this copy parameters button. And here we can select what we would like to copy. And the system will show us with this blue highlight what we selected. So we select common train parameters. We select the locomotive, and we also select the activity types. So all this information will be copied. And we can also select here which operational points we would like to give these parameters. So we can select everything, click continue, and that's all. We are ready. As a final step, we need to give the calendar days. And as you can see, the system already selected because basically we entered the PaPs, these new PaP sections, into an already existing subpass, which has already an existing calendar setup. So we can check this, of course. We can also modify, but I do not recommend unless we would like to create another subpasses. So this should be the default, which was given by the system. Since we are working with PaPs, we have to check the availability. As you can see, no warning messages now, so everything is perfect. And the final step, we can see the preview of what we have done, the timetable preview. And now we can see that we have two different subpasses with PaP. And here, this is the alternative section we just copied into the dossier. We are done. We can click save. And that's all. I don't know if it is was clear enough. If not, then you may ask questions now. If no questions, then we can continue with another interesting use case. And this is the use case I call the lazy RU use case. Of course, I do not want to offend anyone with this name. And for this use case, I'm going to log in with the Slovenian cargo company. And I will select this dossier, which is now in open phase. Okay, so in this exercise, what I would like to show you is how to insert PaP as a participating agency into a dossier which is already created by the leading RU and which is already in harmonization phase. So now we are in the basic data, where we can see that this is an international train crossing 3 countries because we have 3 RUI Ambers. So this train is going from Slovenia, where the railway undertaking is the Slovenian cargo, through Austria, where the railway undertaking is Rail Cargo Austria, and the destination is in the Czech Republic, where our partner railway undertaking is ČD Cargo. Of course, this is only just a fictional dossier, so if you can see any identical, this is merely a coincidence, of course. In the applicant timetable, we can see that this is a very simple dossier. This is what we can call an outline, because the way it was created by the leading RU is only just to fulfill the minimal requirements of the system. And what is the minimal requirement? When you have a territory, this territory has to contain at least 2 operational points. So in this case, we have an origin point, Koper-Tovorna, and we have a border point, Maribor. If you check the second territory, the Austrian one, it also has a border point, Spielfeld, and another border point, Czeslaw-Prena-Draži, which is interesting because this border is not in Austria. But as it was selected as an operational point where ÖBB is responsible to give the arrival time, it is counted or it can fulfill this requirement to have 2 operational points in a territory. And the third one, of course, contains Czeslaw, again, with the departure time. In this case, it will be the responsibility of SJČZ to enter the timetable. And finally, our destination, which is Ostrava Kunčice. So this is a very basic dossier, and the leading guy who created the dossier, for them, this is enough because they only wanted to fulfill the basic requirements. And it is up to the partner IUs if they would like to give any extra details in their territory. So now, as the leading RU, we will release this dossier to the harmonization phase. And for this exercise, we will log in with ČD Cargo, because we would like to work now with ČD Cargo. So the dossier was released to harmonization, and this gave access to the partner IUs, so now they can also work in the dossier. So as ČD Cargo, we can open the dossier now. And I forgot to check which one I shall work with, but luckily I can have a hint from the number of acceptance slides. So this should be the dossier which I need to open. Yes, exactly. So we have this traffic from the Slovenian cargo. We are the partners. We will be responsible for the train from Czeslaw to Ostrava Kunčice, and we are ČD Cargo, a proud and happy customer of RFC Baltic-Adriatic. So our company policy is to request as many PaPs as it is possible. So now it is our task to upgrade this territory and to insert a PaP, or to replace this tailor-made with a PaP if it is possible, if we can find a fitting offer to our needs. So what we will do now, the same, what was done in the previous exercise, we will click on Add PAP. And we will start searching, but in this case, we are not entering the PAP ID because we have absolutely no clue about what is possible and what is not. We are just studying the offer at the moment. So the basic search steps, we select Baltic-Adriatic. And the direction, for me, the default is always select all. If we do not know what are the directions in a particular corridor, because some corridors use north to south, south to north direction, but some corridors use east to west, west to east direction. So if you want to be sure, just simply click select all. Okay, so we can search now. And immediately we will see the results, which are quite huge. As you can see, it is 445 items. Of course, it would be very time consuming to go through this list, but luckily we can search for more, so we can narrow the results. And what we need to do now, we will search for the destination Ostrava, Hunčice. So here we select contain. And I don't have special characters, but I think this will be enough. So Ostrava Kun. Yeah, it is enough. So now we only see 18 results, which is much better than 445 results. And what we saw from the outline is that the arrival time to Ostrava should be around 7:45. So we need to search for a PAP which can arrive to Ostrava at around 7:45, and also which can depart from Jeslav at around 5 o'clock, according to the arrival to Jeslav. And I think we had what we are searching for, because it seems that this PAP section can perfectly fit our needs. So it has a departure from Jeslav at 4:55 and an arrival to Ostrava at 7:44. It's almost perfect. And this is the PAP C5NP016. So we will select this PAP section and we will add it to the dossier. And we are again at the reordering phase. And again, we can see that we have duplications because the system still keeps the original tailor-made part created by the leading RU. So we click continue. We will just make a quick cross-check. So according to the original timetable, the departure should be at 5 o'clock. The flex PAP, so we can adjust the time, and the arrival at 8 o'clock. Adjust it as well. And once we are done, we can just simply delete these tailor-made points because we do not need them anymore. And now we have the PAP timetable. So we successfully replaced. We can continue with the parameters. And since I showed you this parameter section in the previous exercise, I will not go through it again. Let's just bypass this. And now we are in the calendar section. And again, you can see that the system already selected the days according to the calendar from the previous territory. So we know that this train shall arrive from Austria on days 2, 4, 5, and 7. But let's say that we would like to have a different we would like a different calendar setting. Oh, and also it is very important. Please note that although the train is running on day 7, 11th of December is not selected by the system. And I think you already know the reason. This is the so-called first Sunday issue, which was an issue in the previous PCS versions. But now the system, what the system does, we know that the train runs from Slovenia on days 1, 3, 4, and 6. And the train which arrives to the Czech Republic on the 11th of December should start from Slovenia on the 10th of December, but 10th of December is outside of the validity period. And because of that, the system will not select this day. So it will not make any calendar inconsistency. This is a great thing. So what we would like to do now, we would like to run this train on all days, because our department decided that there should be a train pass available from Česlav to Ostrava on all days. So we will select everything. Of course, always check the availability of the PAP. No warning messages, so the PAP is available on all days. So why not? Here in the preview, you will see that on our section, the train shall run on a daily basis, and click Save. And we will see this warning message with extra running days, which is a problem because at this certain stage, the system sees that the days between the territories are not harmonized. So the international train pass is not harmonized, and this will block you from submitting the pass request. So now here comes the question, how can we solve this issue? And yes, we can solve this issue because we have a possibility to create a new subpass for these extra running days on our section. So this is what we will do now. We will copy the subpass with a PAP. And I'm making the same mistake over and over. So click here and copy the subpass with PAP. Yep. And now we will select those days what we would like to run only on our territory. And I think this was day 1, 6, and maybe 3. We will see. Two, 4, 5, 7, 1, 3, 6. Okay. So now we have two different subpasses, and this second subpass should contain those days which are not international, because on these days the train will only run between Česlav and Ostrava. But we still have this warning message with the extra running days, so we could not completely solve this problem. So what we need to do now, we shall click on the edit button of the second subpass, and we shall mark Česlav-Prenadraži as an alternative origin with this little arrow thingy button. So when we push it and save, the warning disappears, because now the system knows that the train pass between Slovenia and Czech Republic is harmonized, so the train will run 4 days per week, but on the Czech territory there will be 3 extra days only between Česlav and Ostrava. So with this, we now have a harmonized international train pass. and we will be able to submit the pass request. So that was the second use case. I don't know if I was clear. If you have any questions, please feel free. I see that there's something in the chat section. It was a comment from Bernd. Yes, we can always modify the language in PCS system. I have a funny story about that, by the way. When 2 years ago we still had a physical PCS training, and we prepared some exercises for the participants, and according to that, like 10 or 15 people had to log in with the same account to PCS test system, like the Slovakian IM. And some of the Slovakian users, they immediately went to the language setting, and they changed the language to Slovak. And for the remaining 10 users, the language also went to Slovakian. So it was a bit funny and confusing. So yeah, we had to tell to the participants that if we are doing a live training, please do not touch the language settings, because it will change the language for all users who are using this account in the test system. So now this is the reason why we are in English. Okay, we have a few time, so I would like to show you some quick exercises, and this will be I will show one IM and one RU related, but the second one is also IM related a little bit. So let's start with this easy one. I will log in with Rail Cargo Hungary. And I would like to talk about the time zones, because this is a new thing in PCS. I mean, not brand new, but we are using this system for a few years now. But I still receive some emails from customers that they have problems with the calendar settings, and the system tells that the calendar is not harmonized and all the stuff like that, and they do not know what was the problem. And eventually it came out that the problem was with the incorrect time zone settings. And for this, I would like to show a quick example. This is a PAP, again, a fictional one, from Kurtic to Lökösháza. Kurtic is the border station in Romania, and Lökösháza is the border station in Hungary. The travel time between the stations is 15 minutes. And Romania is in Eastern European time zone, which is UTC +2, and Hungary is in Central European time zone, which is UTC +1. So if we are running a train from south to north, from Romania to Hungary, the arrival time in Hungary will be 1 hour earlier than the departure from Romania. And as you can see, this is already built in the PAP, because the PAPs are already published knowing the proper time zones in Romania and in Hungary. So you can see that now this PAP departs at 14:15 and arrives to Lökösháza at 13:30, and the system does not show any error in that, because this is correct. Here we see we have UTC +2, and here it is not displayed because UTC +1 is the default time zone, so it is not displayed by the system. But what happens if a customer does not order a PAP, but they create a tailor-made dossier instead, and they do not pay attention to the time zones? In this case, this is what will happen. So you can see the good old warning message, extra running days, and path variants are inconsistent. And usually this is where the customer has no clue what they did wrong. But it is very simple. So the train, again, departs from Kurtic at the same time, 14:15, and arrives to Lökösháza 13:30. But since the time zones are not set up here, the system will think that this train is running for more than 24 hours between the two stations. So it will be a midnight crossing between the two stations, and the train departs on day 7 from Kurtic and arrives to Lökösháza on day 1. So the stubborn customer will say, okay, I will modify the calendar manually, and I will tell the system that the train arrives to Lökösháza on day 7. And they think that it will solve the problem. And of course, it will not solve the problem, because it will confuse the system even more. What they need to do to eliminate this error, they just simply need to set up the correct time zone. And this is where you can do it. You see that little clock icon in the arrival departure field, so next to the arrival departure field. And you select the first one, so for the first operational point, select, and just switch to UTC +2, and you can see it will apply to all the remaining sections. And if you save, there will be no more error message, because now the system will see that, yes, there's a change in the time zones, but the train is running only 15 minutes between the two stations. So I think that's an easy one, but can cause a lot of troubles based on my experience. So I just wanted to explain that to you. And since we still have some time, let me show you some example on the IM side, what can happen when the IM would like to change something in the PaP, and the system will give an error to him. And for this, I will log in with NRIC, and I will search for a dossier which is in past elaboration, that one. So again, this is a fictional train running from Romania to Bulgaria, from Videle to Ilianci, Sofia. And I logged in with NRIC. Of course, I checked my timetable. According to the latest decision, this should be the reality. But if I go to the CFR timetable, I can see that the running time between the border stations is not exactly what it should be. So between Giurgiu and Russe, it should be 25 minutes. So if this train arrives to Russe at 17:40, the departure from Giurgiu should be 17:15. But we can see that something has happened. So let's compare the timetables. I compare the original applicant request with the CFR timetable now. And yes, we can see that CFR has made some changes to the original request. So the original request was to depart from Videle at 12:15, but CFR has modified the departure a little bit. It will be 45 minutes earlier. And of course, the train will arrive to Giurgiu earlier as well. And CFR also stated that they do not want such a long parking time in Giurgiu. because of any reasons, they only allow maximum 2 or 2.5 hours in the border. So they also decided, because it's possible in the timetable, to give an earlier departure. So now the train departs from Georgia 2 hours earlier. And let's say that this has been approved on the latest border conference. So NRIC is aware of this change now. So what NRIC needs to do, they need to adapt the timetable in PCS according to the latest decision. So they enter the timetable, click edit, and they change the times 2 hours earlier. Simple as that. But then we can see that the stopping time in Russe is also very high, and this is also something which is not preferred by the Bulgarian infrastructure manager. So they need to adapt the national part of the timetable, and they need to construct something with earlier departure from Russe. So in this case, and now I will open up my script, just a minute, please, because I don't know the timetable by heart. Yeah, use case. Okay. I see it. So this train shall depart from Russe earlier, and this will be 18:15, which means that we will arrive to Mezdra on the same day. So there will be no midnight crossing, and we will depart like that. And there will be an arrival to Sofia, again 2 hours earlier, let's say 2:10. And we are happy we made the changes. We click save, and there you go. The good old error message. You are not using any of the capacity. Because of that, you are not able to close this timetable, and you are not able to update and give a real offer to the applicant. This is something I received last year, and we have a solution for that. The problem is that the PaP by the COSS was reserved that in Mezdra the train is running on days 3. So this is the reserved calendar for this pass section. And with the new changes, the train would run in Mezdra on day 2. And this is something which is not allowed by the system if you are using a PaP, because the PaP was reserved by the COSS for a certain calendar day. So this is the problem. But you can overcome this problem, because now for the IMs it is possible to edit a PaP capacity which was reserved by the COSS. This function was developed for this purpose. So in this way, the IM will be able to give a real offer to the applicant. So what we need to do now here, we need to replace Mezdra with the tailor-made pass section. So we are adding a new pass section. We will duplicate Mezdra. This is a tailor-made one. We will enter the correct time. And we will delete this one from the PaP. Of course, there will be a confirmation message. Are you sure you want to remove? Yes, of course, I'm sure. And this way, I will be able to save. There's a second confirmation because the system will tell you that this change is modifying something which was reserved by the COSS. Would you like to continue? Yes, we continue. And now the system will send a generated email to the COSS that something happened with this reserved PAP. So the COSS will have the information about that. He can check the dossier in PCS and can also inform the applicant about the change. So in this way, full transparency is provided. And also we were able to save the timetable with the correct times. Just a final, because I forgot that. So simple as that. I hope that this was also useful. And last but not least, just a very last case. It can also happen that the pass was ordered and reserved for a certain calendar days, but afterwards, so during the pass construction phase, the IM receives a request from the railway undertaking that they need to change the calendar day because they had a meeting with their partners and they decided that the train will not run on days 2, but instead they would like to run on days 3. And I also received this question from one of my IMs, what they can do in this case. And in this case, they have the option, but I only recommend this if there is nothing else possible. So if they would like to change the calendar, which was previously reserved by the COSS, they can have this clear all PAP capacity button, which will transform everything from PAP to tailor-made. And once it is tailor-made, the IM can do whatever they want with this part. So they can replace the days from 2 to 3. Of course, again, this will generate an automatic message towards the COSS that something happened. And of course, we'll need to do the same exercise on CFR side, because now the calendar is inconsistent. Password. Oh my God. It's hard to type. Which one was this one? Yeah. So on CFR side, we have to do the same change. Otherwise, the calendar will be inconsistent. And you can see that if I click edit and change calendar, if it is a PAP, I will not able to do it because the system will give the same message. So first, I need to clear this and I need to remove all the reserved PAPs. And once it is tailor-made, I can do the change. And now it is harmonized again. But again, I only recommend this exercise to the IMs if there is no other possibilities. Okay, so from my point, these were the use cases I wanted to show during this this training. And now I'm turning to the audience if they would like to ask anything about these use cases, about the presentations, anything else. I'm also turning to my COSS colleagues if they would like to add something to this presentation. But if you have no further questions, then my last thing to do is to thank you very much for your presence and for your cooperation. If you have any questions in the future, if we have any problems with PCS, my door is always open, so please feel free to contact me, and I will be happy to assist you in the future. And I wish you a very nice weekend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
nice
you very much,
weekend.
Joseph.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.